guys, Ms. Martinovich will be with us in just a second, but I am going to go ahead and start the meeting. Unfortunately, we did have some issues with the Zoom meeting. Obviously, for those of you who tried to join live, you know what I'm talking about. We assume that were people from outside and not our students doing that. We've seen it all over the news that Zoom can be hacked by others, and unfortunately, that will not allow us to have this live meeting. So we're going to record it, and if you have any questions about anything that happens in the meeting, please just let us know. We're happy to answer anything by email. Like I said, Ms. Martinovich had to go do something real quick, but she will join us whenever she is able to do so. But I am going to go ahead and just start the meeting over again. And for those of you who were not there for the live meeting, when I did the prayer, I am going to just start all over again so that this is the complete meeting from the very beginning. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Let us recall that we are in God's presence. From educational mission and ministry, hopes for our graduates. We are confident that based on their experiences as students in a Brothers of the Sacred Heart school, our graduates are becoming well-rounded, faith-filled, self-disciplined, compassionate, and academically prepared men who respond to God's love. Many of us are struggling with what is happening in our world today, but the experience you have had at Brother Martin and with your families have allowed you to respond to God's love even during this stressful time. We're thankful to you, Lord, for showing us your love every day in the hallways of school and now in our homes, and we are proud to take your care and love with us wherever we go. We continue to pray for those who are at risk and who are sick and dying from COVID-19, as well as those affected by all other illnesses worldwide. Help us keep our faith and use your love to assist others during these very uncertain times. Finally, we ask your continued blessings on the class of 2020 as they begin their journey into the next phase of their lives. May they always remember that Brother Martin will always be their home, even if they are far away. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Ameto Koriezu, Ameto Komarie. The first thing I want to talk about is just a reminder about your yearbook quotes. Each year, seniors are allowed to put their quotes in the yearbook, and this year will be no different than that. So please make sure you check the class of 2020 Schoology group. Mrs. Newberger posted a Google form on there for you to submit your yearbook quotes, and those will be reviewed by Mr. Lynn and Mr. Bordelon, so please make sure they are appropriate. You will not have another chance to correct them if they're not appropriate. If they are appropriate, they will appear in the yearbook. If they're not appropriate, you just won't have a quote in the yearbook. So please use your good judgment when you do that, and make sure that you get those in by that April 24th deadline, as many pages are already due. Even though our end of year is pushed back a little bit, pages from the yearbook and from certain sections are due at particular times, and we really need to get those submitted by the end of April. So again, that deadline is April 24th. I did post on Schoology that we are going to do our mother-son event as a virtual event. This Wednesday, April 22nd, is when we are going to do that. That is the day that we are going to have senior parent-teacher conferences, so you all do not have classes that day. So that gives you a good opportunity to try to help your mom, maybe by preparing dinner or helping her prepare dinner or offering to clean up afterward, just doing something in Thanksgiving to your mom. She is missing out on this end of year activity just like you are, and that's very sad. And we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to thank her like you would if you were attending the event. I know it will be a little bit different because it's virtually and you'll be preparing dinner or helping your mom prepare dinner at home, but we hope that you can do that. We will also post on the Schoology group the prayer service. A few of our seniors have helped to make that prayer service, so we are hoping that you and your mom can watch that together and enjoy it. We're also going to post all the baby pictures that were turned in February. Those will be numbered and you can guess who your classmates are as babies. We won't have the answers up immediately, but we will put the answers up maybe the next day so that you can check your answers. We had a lot of people submit pictures, and we hope that you have fun with that, trying to guess your classmates when they were a lot younger. Also, your religion teachers asked you to write a letter to your mom. We hope you've all done that. That's what you would have done had you been in school. So your religion teachers gave you that same assignment. And we hope that you will give your mom that letter on April 22nd. It's a little note of Thanksgiving to her. It's going to be much more important to her than you think it is. So please do that for your mother. We strongly encourage that. And we also encourage you to take some pictures of you and mom having dinner that night. We'd like to post those on our website and on social media. We know that you can't get a haircut right now, but you do need to be clean shaven if you want your pictures to appear on the website or social media. If you have any questions about anything about the mother-son event, please make sure that you send me an email today or tomorrow so that we can get that clarified. Again, it's on Wednesday. We're going to post prayer service and the pictures. And we hope that you will help your mom prepare dinner, clean up, whatever you can do to help her, and that you'll give her that letter. And then finally, that you'll send us some pictures of you and your mom having that dinner on Wednesday. So again, going back to the two things we've already talked about, your book quotes are due on the 24th. We're having the mother-son senior dinner virtually on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. So questions about yearbook quotes, go to Ms. Newberger. Questions about the mother-son event, come to me. The seniors last week, which is next week, guys. You're there, you made it. It's time to celebrate your last week. And unfortunately, we can't do that on Elysian Fields, but we are still going to celebrate that event, your last week at Brother Martin. So just like in other years, we're gonna have the dress-up days Monday through Thursday. So Monday, you'll be wearing your Brother Martin t-shirt. Tuesday, you'll be wearing your elementary school t-shirt. Wednesday, you're going to be wearing your college t-shirt. And Thursday, you're going to dress like your favorite male teacher. So all those days are the same as they were in the past. We want you to participate in as many as you can. Take some pictures of yourself, send those to Miss Sellinger, and she'll get those posted. Again, we know you can't get a haircut, but you can be clean shaven for those to be posted. So please make sure you participate in all those days. On Friday would normally be your last day of school, and we would normally have alumni speakers, and Father Paul would have a mass, and we'd have a lunch for you. Unfortunately, obviously, those things can't take place as they would, but we will have alumni speakers do some videos for you. We're already working on that, and those will be posted on Friday. Father Paul will send you a little prayer message and just a little message of congratulations. So please look on the website or look on the Schoology group. You'll get more information about exactly where it's going to be posted before we actually post it next Friday. But please take a look at those videos. A lot of our alumni want to send you their congratulations and some messages about this time. And so does Father Paul. So please take a look at those videos next Friday to celebrate your last day of school. After next Friday, the following week would have been what would have been senior exams. So this year, obviously, with us doing remote learning, those exams are going to be a little bit different than they have been in the past. And we're actually not even going to call them exams. We're going to call them final assessments. And the reason we're not going to call them exams is they are not going to be in exactly the same format that they have been in the past. In the past, you've taken your exam, which covered your cumulative third and fourth quarter material, and it counted for 1/3 of your grade. Unfortunately, with remote learning, we know that that's just not a fair assessment for you guys. So we're trying to be as fair as we can. So we're calling them final assessments, and the final assessments can be a test that would fit in a regular 50-minute class period, not a 90-minute period. So it could be a test, it could be a paper, it could be a project. That is going to be up to your teacher's discretion. So it's going to be some kind of final assessment, and that final assessment will count as 20% of your quarter grade. Now, obviously, if you're in DE or AP, those things could be different and your teachers will communicate that with you. But for all other classes, your final assessment will be 20% of your grade, and it will fit in a regular class period if it's a test, or it will be due on the day that the test was scheduled if it's a paper or a project. If you have an A or a B in the class when we end classes next Friday, May 1st, wherever you stand on May 1st, you have an A or a B, that assessment will be optional, so sort of like an exemption. For you to opt out of taking the exam, though, your parent does need to email your teacher directly to let them know that you have their permission to be exempt or to opt out of the exam. So if next Friday you have an A or a B and you're happy with your grade, if you want to opt out of the exam, your parent needs to send an email to each of your teachers where that's the case. If you have a C, D, or F, you are going to be taking the final assessment, which will be 20% of your grade. If you have an A or a B, you're also allowed to take the final assessment. I'm not sure why you would if you had an A, but I guess it depends on your numerical average and where you were last quarter. Because semester grades are going to be calculated the same way. So your third quarter numerical average will be average with your fourth quarter numerical average to come up with your semester grade. So even if you have an A, you might need to take the final assessment to get a higher A if you're trying to get a specific semester grade. So again, A's and B's, you may opt out with your parents' permission, but really make sure that you want to opt out if you have an A or a B. If you are trying to get a specific semester grade for TOPS or for college admissions, you may need to still take that assessment. If you have a C, D, or F, you definitely need to take that final assessment, and it will be 20% of your grade. If you have any questions about the grading policy or how exams are going to be handled, those questions need to go to Ms. Broussard. You can send them to me and I can probably answer them, or Ms. Broussard. So one of the two of us will be able to answer those questions. We're going to follow the same senior exam schedule that we originally had posted. So you will see on the screen there, Monday will be civics at 10 a.m. Tuesday will be math at 10 a.m. Wednesday will be English at 10 a.m. Thursday will be science at 10 a.m. And Friday will be religion at 10 a.m. So that would be if there is going to be an actual test. That's the time the test would take place. If you are getting a project or a paper as your final assessment from a particular teacher, that is when those will be due. So that's either the due date or the time of the test. So you need to make sure you mark those on your calendar. Some of you aren't used to getting up at 10 a.m. to do your work, but make sure you're up at 10 a.m. to take those final assessments or to turn in those papers or projects. Again, if you have any questions about anything about grading, Ms. Broussard or I can definitely answer those questions. The graduation program. Now we're just talking about the program that is printed for graduation. We're going to talk about the event in just a few minutes, but the program that is going to be printed and given out to everyone who attends your graduation. You need to send any scholarship offers to Mrs. Martin-Olich by Friday, April 24th. That's this Friday. This needs to be written documentation. She has expressed a little concern to me that she's getting some documentation that doesn't have your names on it. So when you take the picture or scan it, please make sure you can see your name and the school that it's from in addition to the scholarship offer. Even if you have to take the picture in a couple of different, different ways so that she can see that, please make sure you've done that. If you haven't sent her your scholarship offers yet, we have extended that deadline to this Friday, but we really need to have it by this Friday. Most of those scholarship offers were already mailed out. Maybe even before we had the stay-at-home order, but definitely within the month of April, a lot of you have gotten some scholarship offers. We want to recognize you for all of those offers. We definitely don't want to leave anyone out, but we need to have written documentation of that. So please make sure you get to all those things to Ms. Martin-Olich by this Friday. Once Ms. Martin-Olich types them all into the document that will be used to send to the printer for the graduation program, we will send you a proof of that, and then we'll send you that proof on Monday, May 4th. You will have 48 hours from when we send it for you to email any corrections to Mrs. Martin-Olich. So at that time, you're going to be checking the spelling of your name. If your father or grandfather is a graduate, you are going to check the spellings of their names and their graduation years. And you're going to check all of your scholarships, that they're all there, that you've submitted any kind of documentation that you need to. So Monday, May 4th, you'll get a proof of that. Your parents will also get a proof of it. And then you will have 48 hours at that point to send any corrections to Mrs. Martin-Olich and or me. Scholarship corrections would go to Mrs. Martin-Olich. Name corrections would go to me. Just taking a second to answer Ms. Martin-Olich's text, so just give me 1 second. Moving on to the next topic, which is your debit account refunds. I know a lot of you, since we had an entire quarter left, that you have a lot of money left on your debit card. So if you need to request those refunds, your parent needs to email Miss Tina at tlebeau@brothermartin.com. You can see it on the screen there. And she will put in a request to finance about what is needed, about how much balance you have on your card, and she'll be able to send that refund check to your home address. It's very important to know that this is going to be sent to your home address. So your home address is the place where your sign was delivered. So if your sign did not go to the place that the check needs to go, you need to make sure you tell Miss Tina that as well. There's no real deadline on that. Just whenever your parent wants to email Miss Tina, she'll make sure that those refunds start going out. Unfortunately, Ms. Martin-Olich isn't going to be able to join us again on this. She had some technical difficulties with her speakers. So I'm going to just talk about what she needed to talk about. She and I have talked about this the last couple of days, so I know what she needs to tell you. But if you have any questions about the next two bullet points or agenda items, those questions would go to Ms. Martin-Olich. TOPS updates: the governor has suspended the requirement that you achieve the 20 or the 23 or the 27 on the ACT by the April test date, since there were no April test dates. So that deadline has been extended to September 30th. So if you still need to take the ACT again to get a qualifying top score, please make sure you do that by September 30th. And I know ACT is going to be sending out information if they can't test in person about how you can test at home. We're hoping that some of the summer tests will be allowed to resume, but be on the lookout for information about that, about where testing might happen. It could be at school or it could be at your house, but please, if you need to get that qualifying score before September 30th, please don't let that deadline pass you by. There's also another link that we're going to include when we send the summary home that you can click on to get any kind of other updates about TOPS. If you are applying for TOPS, there's not actually a TOPS application, but your FAFSA is your TOPS application. So your FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. You should have done that by now, but if it opened on October 1st to start doing, but if you haven't, you do have until July 1st to do it. That is the latest you can do it, but your TOPS application will not be processed unless you actually fill out the FAFSA by the July 1st date. And it won't, if you don't do it until July 1st, if they start to process TOPS before that, yours won't be processed until you've actually filled out the FAFSA. You need to list at least one Louisiana school on your FAFSA in order to be your application for TOPS. So if right now you're planning on going to the University of Virginia and you fill out your FAFSA and you only list the University of Virginia, that will not be a TOPS application for you if you would ever want to transfer. So even if you know you're going out of state, you definitely need to list at least one Louisiana school on your FAFSA, because that's the only way the Louisiana Office of Student Financial Aid will get your application for TOPS. Your request for final transcripts, Ms. Martinolich is going to include a Google form, possibly when we send this out. If not, it will be within a couple of days. Every senior needs to fill out that form, and it is due by Friday, May 8th. So some of you might be saying, well, I'm not going to college, I'm joining the military, or I already have a job in the workforce, or I'm going to be a policeman or a fireman, and that's all great. And that's all, you know, like, I'm glad that you all have great plans for the future. Every senior needs to fill this out. So if you have a circumstance where you do not have your transcripts being sent to a college, there is a place for you to say that on the form. So don't just assume you don't need to fill out the form. Assume that every senior needs to fill out the form so that Ms. Martinolich has your requests and any other information that she needs to get your transcripts where they need to be. And it will just give her an indication of what your plans are in the future. Again, if you have any questions about the TOPS updates or the request for final transcripts, please direct those two questions to Mrs. Martinolich. The final agenda item are event updates. And I know you've heard this already, that we have rescheduled our graduation ceremony for July 31st. We just really felt like we needed to go late in the summer in order to accommodate our graduation ceremony in the format that it's in now. We are not sure if in June they're going to be allowing any kinds of large gatherings. We're really not even sure about that in July, but we figured the latest we could go in July, the later we could go in July, the better, so that we had the potential for having our graduation ceremony in the same format that we have it now. Again, obviously we can't promise that, but that is our hope. That being said, only the graduation ceremony is July 31st. Your official graduation date will still be May 22nd, 2020. So your diploma, which we already have at school, they're already in my office, they came a couple of weeks ago, they all say May 22nd, 2020. Your transcripts will also say May 22nd, 2020. That is your official graduation date. So years from now, when someone asks you when you graduated, your official graduation date is May 22nd, 2020. The event itself will happen on July 31st, but all of your paperwork, your official paperwork, will say May 22nd. Your schools will also start getting transcripts from us the week after May 22nd. So I've had a few questions about people who need transcripts before that July 31st date. All of your transcripts will definitely be sent before that. They will be sent the 2 weeks after May 22nd. It takes about 2 weeks to send all 210 transcripts, and that will start the week after your official graduation date. Some people have asked me about what to do with their graduation announcements, and I suggest mailing them as they are. They will not be reprinted by Jostens. Jostens has thought about possibly creating inserts to put in them. But since your graduation date has not actually changed, and all an announcement is an announcement about your graduation, I think you should send them with the original date, because that is your graduation date. If you don't want to send them with that date, then let us know, and we'll see what we can do about Jostens getting a little insert to put in there. But again, if the July 31st date ends up not happening because of federal and local mandates, then I would hate to have you wait to mail it until then. Since your graduation date is staying the same, I would just say mail the announcements with that date, because that is your graduation date. The leadership ceremony and graduation mass will be rescheduled, just like our graduation itself was rescheduled. I can't give you dates on that yet, because we need to make sure that that July 31st date is actually going to happen. Those two ceremonies will be scheduled within 1 or 2 weeks of graduation, so they'll be in the latter part of July. As we have that information, we will let you know. I am very sorry that I can't give you that information right now, but I don't want to give you dates that aren't really finalized yet, and I don't want to try to assume what's going to happen in July. So as soon as we know those dates, we will definitely let you know. We're also going to poll you when it gets closer to July about the senior prom. I know right now, probably if I asked you, you would all be saying, yeah, I'd like to have the senior prom in July, but I think you might feel differently when we actually get to July. If you don't feel differently and you all, and a majority of you want to have a senior prom, we'll be able to do that. It probably won't be at the original venue, the Lakefront Airport. It will probably have to be in the Benson Mall. But again, we'll poll you when it gets a little bit closer to that date to see what you want. We don't want as adults to make that decision for you. We want you as the seniors to make that decision for yourselves. And we will help you do whatever it is that you want to do at that point. Unfortunately, since this is not live, we did not have the opportunity to ask any questions, but I'll just kind of go back through the agenda and tell you who you should send your questions to if you have them. If you have a question about the yearbook quote, that email needs to go to Mrs. Newberger. If you have a question about the virtual mother-son event, which is this coming Wednesday, you need to send that email with that question to me. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I can't remember, but if you paid for that event before the stay-at-home order, we are definitely going to send you refunds. We're just trying to figure out the most efficient way to do that with 150 and plus seniors. So please be patient with us and you'll get that information in the coming weeks. If you have any questions about the seniors last week virtual events, you can either send that email to Mr. Lynn or to me. If you have questions about the alumni speakers, you can send those questions to Mr. Chris Alley in the alumni office. So any of us will be able to help you. But if it's about the first 4 days, either Mr. Lynn or myself or even Ms. Rodriguez will be able to answer your questions. If it's questions about the Friday event, Mr. Alley in the alumni office will be able to answer your questions. If you have any questions about senior exams or grading, those questions need to go to Mrs. Broussard. So please, if you have any questions about anything that we talked about on senior exams, send those questions to Mrs. Broussard. Questions about the graduation program need to go to Mrs. Martin-Olich, as do questions about TOPS and final transcripts. So if you have questions about any of those topics, please send an email to Mrs. Martin-Olich. Debit account refunds, Ms. Tina will be able to answer any questions about that, and she'll also be able to take the requests for refunds. And then finally, the event updates that I talked about last, those questions should come to me. I'm so sorry that we weren't able to have questions and that unfortunately the live Zoom meeting didn't work. While I was sitting here doing this recording, a lot of you emailed me, and I really appreciate those emails telling me that you were sorry that we couldn't do it that way. And I am really sorry that we couldn't do it that way so that you couldn't ask your questions live. But please know that any email you send to us will be answered. Be patient because we're getting lots of emails, so please be patient. But we will definitely make sure that all of your questions get answered as, in a timely fashion when you send them. I wish I could have seen your faces and I wish I could have talked to you all, and I am hoping to see you all very soon. I pray for you every day. It's not fair what happened to you, and I don't know what to say besides I'm really, really sorry and that I miss you all terribly. With that, I'm going to end the meeting. I'm going to have it posted, and again, please email us with any questions.